Hi, welcome to Bashani Radio and iHeart Radio Worldwide. You are now tuned into Entrepreneur Empowered. I'm your host, Attorney Sid Peddinti, aka the Entrepreneur's Attorney. Today, I have an action-packed workshop for you. We're going to walk you through the key components that impact your business every single day. And at Entrepreneur Empowered, it's about one thing: empowering you with the practical and applicable tools, strategies, knowledge, and information that you can use in your business right away. Today's workshop is going to be no different. We're going to walk you through the key components that impact your bottom line as we speak. These are what I call the ARM business and legal strategies. ARM, A-R-M, stands for asset. So we're talking about asset protection. And then R stands for risk. So we're talking about risk prediction as well as mitigation. And lastly, we talk about M, which stands for monetization, and more specifically, the monetization of your intellectual property. I'm talking about creating different revenue streams in your business. So that's what I have in store for you today. You're tuned in roughly for 60 minutes. I'm going to give you everything I have today in 60 minutes that we're together. If you have any questions regarding anything specific we talk about, feel free to get in touch with me after the show or send me a direct message. You'll find the contact information you need on this page as well as on the show. I'm going to give you different resources on how you can get in touch with us. Also, if you're tuned in online, so if you're listening to us after the show, we're going to upload the video that's attached to this, that's part of this right now. And if you're tuned in online and watching this, well, sit back as we walk through this, pull up a sheet of paper, and let's get cracking. Let's solve these things in real time. I'm going to give you everything I have as I promised. I have the presentation in front of us that I can give to you at the end of the workshop. Feel free to just send me a quick email and I'll make sure that you have a copy. Okay? So before we dive in, if you're tuned in for the first time, let me go ahead and give you a brief introduction. I am business and intellectual property attorney Sid Peddinti. I operate a law firm in Manhattan Beach, California called California Law Services. My team comprises of a few other experienced and highly entrepreneurial-minded attorneys who have come together to help me help our clients. We work with entrepreneurs and business owners across all industries, helping them understand not just the legal side of the business, but business strategy. We believe that as entrepreneurs, we have the ability, a unique ability, to put on a legal as well as an actual business owner hat, which enables us to look at the same situation from different set of lenses. And you as a business owner needs to have this knowledge, needs to have the skills, the strategies, and the tools that enable you to look at your business from a different set of lenses, right? That way you can look at different angles, you can think of different strategies, you can consider things that you may not have considered in the first place. And so the more well protected and the more organized you are in your business, the more planning you can do, right? The easier it is to manage your business. In the event of a risk, you have a strategy to mitigate it. In the event of an opportunity, you have the right tools and the right resources in place to monetize your business. So it's about being ready. It's about being proactive, not reactive. You as a business owner, you as the entrepreneur, it's your responsibility as the captain of your own ship to understand three things. Number one, what assets you have. So if you're the captain of your ship, You need to know who is on board. You need to know how big your ship is. You need to know who you can direct and give orders to and guidance to so they can perform their job more effectively. So these are the assets that you contain in your business, right? The different revenue streams, the different product lines, the different operational elements, the different segments and divisions in your business. These are all assets that you've developed, that you've created. And so it's important for you to identify them. And in today's workshop, we're going to go through it step by step. So if you haven't done so, feel free to pull out a sheet of paper, like I said. If you're watching this on the computer, or if you're listening to us on the radio and you have a computer in front of you, go ahead, pull up a Word document or a notepad and start taking some notes. So um, go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab a quick sip of water in 1 second here. All right, with that said, let's dive right into it. So today we're going to talk about the ARM Business and Legal Strategies. I have here the ARM Business and Legal Guide. The ARM, once again, stands for Assets, Risks, and Monetization. So we have asset protection, we have risk mitigation, and lastly, we have intellectual property monetization. Before we dive in any further, I just want to give a quick disclaimer that any information and education that I provide to you today is not meant to be legal advice. This is more educational and informational for you to get empowered so you can research about these topics, so you can think about these topics, and you take an active step into exploring these topics in your business. Okay, so I have to give you that disclaimer. So make sure that you don't take any of this as actual legal advice, more as educational information for you to get empowered and to inspire you to take the next steps, so you can understand these strategies in the course of your business. Like I said, it's important at the first step, if you're a business owner, to understand and realize that anything you create in your business has a commercial value. Okay? So whether you're talking about your business name, your products or services, right? And the names that they have, the programs that you create, the course names that you've come up with, that has a commercial value. Okay, so that's an asset. The business plans that you've created, whether it's one page, whether it's 20 pages long, or even if it's 100 pages long, it's a business asset. And it's important for you to identify that and to protect it so that this has some commercial value. Now, think ahead. Think in the event that you start franchising a business or you're onboarding multiple clients every month, and now you're gaining popularity. You pick up a lot of momentum. You have a lot of people enrolling into your programs or courses, or you're selling a lot of product. Now, all of a sudden, your business plan could be quite valuable, right? And so in that setting, having identified your business plan, giving it a specific value, and realizing that it's something you need to protect will enhance your understanding of what to do and how to raise the net value of that, just the business plan itself, right? So your overall business itself, you can raise the net value. So moving on, your website domain URL. If you're a purchaser of multiple website names like I am, I look at good domain names sometimes and I purchase them. Most of the time it's with the idea or the thought of having something related to do with what I open. But in the past, I have sold domain website names for, 4 figures is what I've sold them at the most for. These are valuable. They're specific domain names, as you have probably realized. Almost any idea or name that you think about has probably been taken. All right. It's a competitive game. They're professional domain squatters. I'm talking about people who own thousands of domain names, who don't ever intend to use them, who just sit on them because they're premium websites, right? They can be sold to the appropriate parties. So this happens a lot in the attorney field. Divorce lawyers, personal injury lawyers, they're buying websites at a few $1,000s or more sometimes. So a website domain name can be quite a business asset, especially if you're in a competitive field and you have a very unique domain name or a branded domain name, or also a domain name that can be easily popping up in searches, right? That has a lot of value to it. So that's certainly an asset. Also, the website content that you create. This is content that you have thought about, that you have either by yourself or with the assistance of a web designer or a blogger converted onto the website. So this is copyrightable material, right? An asset, the expression, hopefully, of an original idea that you have in your mind, and you're expressing that in the form of a website. So the website content that you have created is certainly an asset as well. And so in this particular segment, it's not about identifying the value, but identifying that the content itself is has some commercial value. So that is an asset, is what I'm trying to convey to you. What about website hashtags, right? Or business hashtags that you use? It has a specific value as well. There are a few hashtags that have been trademarked, so you can imagine those specific ones have a lot of commercial value. The company that acquired the trademark felt that acquiring the trademark of that hashtag has some significant commercial value that and economic value to them, to their customers, to the marketplace. And so think about hashtags, right? If you can develop and put into use a very and commercialize a hashtag, then that's certainly an asset as well. And that's something when I talk about assets and property, it's something I want you to think about as any other property that you have that you easily trade in the marketplace, right? Your home, for example, you buy and sell homes, right? You move into multiple homes. And so that's considered a personal asset. In your business, these are your business assets, right? These things can be sold individually and your business can still continue on, right? So just identifying assets itself, identifying what you've created in your business can itself be a way to generate revenue. As you create different assets, as you create different intellectual property, and you can identify ways to leverage and monetize them, that by itself is a revenue stream. Okay, so always keep an open mind as an entrepreneur and um, look for opportunities. Look for ways that you can monetize the things that you create in more than one way. Okay, so diversify the way you acquire revenue into your business. At the end of the day, it's about getting more money, but also being able to serve more people. And so if somebody has a commercial value for something that they are happy to pay for, then the benefit to them may be a lot more than it's currently benefiting you. So think about that aspect to it, right? Also, I'm talking about marketing plans. If you developed a marketing plan, and whether you're in franchise mode or you're expanding your business, this can certainly become a very commercial and valuable asset in your business, right? Think about those marketing gurus who started from the bottom when they were unknown, and all of a sudden now they're specialized, world famous marketing gurus. The process that they have discovered, the things that they have learned, the different marketing plans that they have created in the process of the delivery of what they do in their craft. You don't think these are valuable assets? Of course they are, right? And the same thing in your business. Always think about the big picture, right? Your business expands to a stage where you're national or international, or even locally, right? You're in a small city and you've expanded to the city next to you and you have a client from a new area. Congratulate yourself, right? That's expansion, right? You're expanding your boundaries. You're getting clients from a little bit further away, even if it's 5 miles away. That's fine. That's a new client. That's expansion of your business. So always start from where you are, the core, and expand outwards. And as you do, you'll develop these different marketing plans. You're going to discover different things in your business, what's working, what's not, or something that worked a few years ago that may not be working now, and the other way around, right? So marketing plans are highly valuable assets. So identify them and give them a value. What about the marketing assets that you create itself, right? So here I'm talking about the marketing creatives that you come up with, the videos, the templates, the publications, the Facebook ads, the TV commercials, if you have a radio spot, a jingle, then all these are valuable commercial assets in your business. They are marketing assets as well as being a commercial asset by itself, right? A business asset. So identify them, clearly define what they are, see if you can give a unique name to them, a process, right? Now, what you're doing by doing that is being able to identify something, right? The more you can list it out, as I have done here, if you're watching the screen in front of you, you'll notice that all these things are listed, right? These are things I can guarantee you almost that 99% of you who are hearing this or watching this have these in their businesses, right? But these are all things that are highly valuable. People don't think about protection um, very often, but these are actual assets. You want to be able to identify them and protect them. Okay, they have a lot of commercial value. Think about the publications and the manuals that you create, that you publish, right? Flyers or anything else. They absolutely have some commercial value, so that's an asset. Also, the landing pages that you create, right? That's content on there. Those are the expression of specific words or ideas or systems, if it's clearly recognizable. And so that by itself, again, can become a valuable asset in your business. So a simple thing like creating a landing page, all of a sudden, if you're able to monetize it and give it commercial value, then sure, it's a commercial asset that you can sell in the marketplace, as you see with many landing pages that are out there as templates now. There you go, right? What you use in your business all of a sudden has become something that you can commercialize yourself and create a revenue stream out of it, as I said before, right? Social following, your access to people in your social networks, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you have, Snapchat. These followers that you've developed, that follow you, that see your content, have commercial value. That's the whole point of, um, or the strategy behind why these tech companies make their platforms absolutely free of cost. It's to attract audiences because as you go register your information, your buying patterns, your profile, your digital activity are all tracked. And that's insight to marketers. And so when you think about how do tech companies, why do they give stuff for free? Well, it's because, or the profiles and other things for free, is because the commercial value is for the marketer, for the advertiser who needs information that these companies are tracking with technology from you. So that's, again, has a commercial value, right? For the right buyer, for the right commercial entity or the right audience, the matchmaking process can happen easily if you're the main connector. You're the person with that social following. So think about that. Think about the followers you have and identify that as an asset. Again, like I said, the social database that you've developed. This is an asset. The social pages and profiles that you have on Facebook, on Instagram, and other social media, as well as the actual business profiles, whether it's with the BBB or somebody else, right? These have commercial value itself. They are unique in the marketplace. Um, think about selling your business, right? If you're selling your business, all of a sudden, those are things that you can charge a premium price for, especially if it's now become tougher to obtain specific things and it's a scarce license or something else that you've developed. So that can become a profile that you've developed. That can become a valuable commercial asset to you. And again, the content of those pages. Also, customer lists, customer identities, insights that you have into the customer or a specific marketplace. These are, as I said, of high commercial value, right? Your clients, your vendors, your competitors would pay premium price for the knowledge of those last four things right there: the customer list, the customer identity, customer insights, as well as an email list of your customers, of your prospective clients, right? For example, if you're operating a law firm and you have, let's take my example. I had a bankruptcy law practice. We have well over 20,000 emails that we've compiled over the last 12, 13 years, right? 20 to 25,000 emails. These are people, and 90% of them are people that we talk to on the phone or interact by email, who saw our message, opted in, and we're talking about a small practice that is run by three, four people part time, right? Now, the value of each one of those emails to us has roughly $1,000 to $5,000 ticket attached to it, right? So all of a sudden, my competitors, bankruptcy attorneys or bankruptcy trustees who advertise in that space, or credit counselors, to them that email is of high value. To mortgage brokers, to people in the refinancing business who are looking for someone who just went bankrupt, right? Who they can provide a mortgage to. To someone like them, they would be glad to pay $2,000 for a single email if it's qualified, right? So let's say there's a client, for example, who I had, who fit all the different criteria for a subprime lender, right? A second mortgage lender with a bit more interest rate, but he's looking for someone who has stable income, um, who has a consistent job, and who has a track record of paying bills on time. Happened to be that financial mismanagement coupled with family emergencies led them to financial distress and ultimately bankruptcy. But for all other practical purposes, this family, let's say, has stable income. So that email, which has, and the list, the identity, the insights about that customer, and the email, I can flip around and sell for $2,000 to $3,000 to a subprime lender, because to them the value out of that would be far greater than the 2 or 3,000 that they're paying me. To the customer, that subprime lender is saving their life. They're giving them their life back. They're helping them restart their life and enabling them to purchase a property, because for all other purposes other than the fact of these emergencies, let's say, they were on track, right? They were planning to buy a home and they could have. So what the point of that story is to identify and to list each and every piece of asset that you've developed in your business, every intellectual property that you've created. So again, let me go ahead and walk you through this list one more time. If you if you're taking notes, feel free to write these down. Again, by no means is this a comprehensive list. This is just a brief list that I've created for you today. If you have more questions about this, or you want to walk through this list in more detail, or you want us to help you identify or create one, feel free to reach out. We'll be more than happy to do that. Okay? So let's start from the top. We have your business name, product service names, program or course names, business plans, website domain URL. We have website content, website workflow, and mechanisms, right? Specific mechanisms that you deploy, that you've created and tested. We have hashtags, we have marketing plans, we have marketing assets, which are creatives and other commercials that you produced. We have publications, we have manuals, we have marketing pages and landing pages, social following, we have the social databases, we have social pages as well as other business profiles. We have content that you have created on those pages. We have customer list, we have customer identity, customer insights, and even customer email lists or phone call, right? Phone numbers. Um, Obviously, there's a lot of other things in your business that you can include, but for today, I think we have quite a few here, and hopefully, you have had a chance to think about these own assets in your specific business, and as you've listed them, identify and given in your mind a value to them, right? Which one of those, if somebody were to approach you and ask you, or give you an offer and say, hey, I'll purchase one of these things, what would you sell each one of those segments for? Is what I want you to think about, as you're walking through this or for the remainder of the week, right? Ascertain a value and give those assets a value, because at the end of the day, it's about commercialization, is about commercial value. All right, second topic for today is going to be intellectual property. If you're watching the video once again, you have four key topics as part of intellectual property. If you're joining us on the radio, and if you're taking notes, the four things that we're going to talk about, and let me go ahead and give you a brief description about them so you understand what they are, and then we'll dive into them. So the four things in intellectual property are trademarks, copyrights, patents, and trade secrets. So let's start from the top, right? The word intellectual property itself. What is it? So intellect is something. So what is the intellect? It's your mind, right? It's your brain. So intellectual is something that you've created from your brain, a specific thought process or an idea or something else. Property is something that can be traded, that can be given a commercial value, that can be possessed, that can be owned by you or somebody else, right? So here we're talking about the commercialization, so the commercial value of something that you have created as a product of your mind, which can be owned, which can be traded, which can be bought and sold. And so as we walk through this, again, I'm going to use the exact same list I just walked you through, from your business name, product, service name, and you've identified the different assets in your business. We've just done that. So let's pick those exact assets and identify if they are in fact intellectual property. So there's four types of intellectual property that you have. First one is called a trademark, right? Second one is called a copyright. The third is a patent, and the last one is a trade secret. I'm just picking that order. It doesn't mean they're in that specific order. So let's start with the trademark. What is it, right? And there's a big confusion about it. A lot of people think they don't need trademarks or are confused about what it is. You might have seen people using the sign TM or the registered R with a circle in it. Both of those stand for trademarks. So if you break the word down, and in fact, if you flip them around, so that's the definition of it. It's a mark used in trade. So if you think about an identifier in the marketplace, a logo, a specific catchphrase, a symbol, and it reminds you of a brand. So think about the McDonald's M sign, think about the Coca-Cola colors, or Pepsi colors, or the Tesla sign. These are branding, right? These are marks that they have used in the commercial setting to identify who they are. When you look at a Mercedes-Benz sign, you know exactly who the manufacturer of that vehicle is. And so that's a trademark. You're marking how you choose to conduct trade, right? And so in the marketplace as a consumer, can you look at something and identify without confusion who the maker of that good or service is? If you can, then that's something that's trademarkable, right? That's a trademark, really. So that's a trademark. Secondly, we're talking about copyrights. If you break the word down again and inverse it, we're looking at the right to copy. So if I create some original piece of content or express a specific idea to you, as I'm doing on this radio show and TV show, and if you're watching, then you see this presentation that I've prepared for you and the format that I'm using here. These are all independent, original expressions of a specific idea about intellectual property, about marketing, about entrepreneurship that I am giving to you. I'm expressing to you in a permanent form, right? A video that I'm going to upload on a different resources, on an audio that you can hear on Bashani Radio and iHeart, and as well as multiple other stations and iTunes podcasts and everything else. So these are permanent ways that I've published my content, an original piece of content. So that's a copyrightable content, right? So that's what a copyright is. If you want to use any of these things that you see here in the course of your business to advertise it, you need my permission. So that's where a copyright kicks in. A patent, there's two types of patents. Patents relate generally to an invention of some sort that has commercial utility. So we're talking about a utility-based patent. So these are actual inventions that enhance something that's novel, that enhances that particular aspect of whatever you invented, right? So a particular process or a system, and that has the word is a novel way to do that, and which has a practical utility. So that's what a utility-based patent is. Think about the light bulb, or think about a specific piece of equipment that's novel, right? The printing press, things that haven't been done before, and this completely is a game changer. It changed the way people do that, right? And it's more effective. So those are what utility patents go for. When you have the other one, which is called a design patent, design patents relate to packaging generally, right? The specific shape or packaging of something. There is a third type of patent, which is a plant-related patent. So this relates to plant-related patents, right? New plants that you've discovered, that you've put together and figured out and given rise to new plant species. So that's patentable. Next, we're also talking about trade secrets. And trade secrets are a unique form of intellectual property because unlike trademarks, copyrights, or patents, you actually don't register trade secrets anywhere. So here I want you to think about your business plan, for example. There is no place for you to really register your business plan, but it gets reflected in contracts and agreements. And so that's the way trade secrets are captured, right? So it's not registered, however, it's captured in contracts and agreements and other ways. So with that brief introduction, let's jump into the different assets we have just identified and figure out which one of those is an intellectual property. So you might be thinking, why are we talking about intellectual property? I may be a coach or an e-commerce person or even a professional firm owner or somebody who doesn't have a physical product that you created that's inventive. Well, like I just mentioned to you and I showed you by definition here, the intellectual property is much more than a patent, right? Every company has 3 out of the 4 intellectual properties that I just talked about. Apart from the patent, every company has a trademark, has a copyright, and has trade secrets. These are intellectual properties, things that were in your mind, ideas, concepts, insights, knowledge, training, whatever it is, that were converted, that were transferred, that turned into a commercial asset that can now be identified, right? So that's a property, piece of property, an asset. So really, if you think about it that way, everything that you've created in the course of your business has high value. And that's what intellectual property, and that's why it's so important, especially in this day and age where you're operating in a world where every move you make is being watched, not just by your clients and your customers and prospects, but by your competitors, by copycats, by partners, right? By your clients, by your employees, by contractors, your marketers. Everyone's watching you, right? So as you're developing new ideas, new concepts, testing new things, creating new programs, you want to think about intellectual property. Sorry about that. Okay. So pull up that list that we just went through. Let's walk through that again and identify which one of those assets are intellectual properties. So we have your business name. Your business name is a trademark. We've already discussed that. It's the name that you use in the course of your trade. So, should you register a trademark for your business? Well, that's a tricky question. It's one that I'm not going to go into today. If you have more specific questions related to that, feel free to message me. It's a topic that's a very tricky topic and it needs detailed analysis. The short answer, though, is yes. If you want to identify yourself as and brand yourself in the marketplace where there's no confusion about who you are, then why don't you register a trademark? Is it enough to get the TM sign versus the R, so register trademark, the R with a circle in it? I know that's a question that you have, and that's a question I get asked the most. Said, should I register my business? Why can't I just use a trademark symbol? Isn't that enough? You know, um, the the registration gives you a lot of benefits, especially in enforcing the trademark, right? Beyond a certain geographic area. And so I think that would be the major benefit if I was to sum it up in one sentence for you. Yes, it is worth it to get a registration, even if you're a small local business, even if you're serving a 5-mile radius around where you are. Get a trademark. Why not? Everything that you're developing, do you want somebody else to um, benefit from that and your customers and the market confusing you with somebody else, right? So that's the benefit of a trademark. So business name, yes, it's an intellectual property. It's a trademark. What about your product or service names? So it could be the product line itself or the actual product or the service that has a specific name that you've attached to it. Again, it's a trademark if it's something unique in the marketplace. The reason I call this presentation the ARM, Business Legal Strategies, right? Or the ARM Business and Legal Guide is because now I have given this concept, what I'm talking about today, a specific name. It can be identified. I've created a program out of it. I've created content out of it. I've created marketing campaigns out of it. I've created specific order forms and specific content, right? Courses and material and program. And I host very specific workshops related to these topics. So by by just giving something a name, you can create, really start creating a new income or revenue stream out of it by working through that step-by-step logical process behind it. And that's sort of the point of this whole presentation, is that when you understand the importance of intellectual properties, right? Intellectual property as a tool, as a weapon in your arsenal, in your weaponry that you have in your business, it's easy for you to understand how to leverage the existing assets you have to monetize yourself and to also control competitors from encroaching on your space and for you to dominate a specific industry and a specific geographic area. So that's where intellectual property kicks in, right? It's not just to protect something you have in your business or be fancy with getting a patent. It's more than a patent. It's about your entire business. It's about your legacy that you're trying to build, right? Something you want to protect and preserve. So that's where intellectual property kicks in. Let's talk about your business course names. As I said, again, specific courses. If you created specific courses or products or digitized goods and services, then give those things names, because all of a sudden now it's trademarkable. And so I'll give you an example. The ARM business and legal strategy, for example. Yes, I'm in the process of acquiring a trademark for that name. I want to do it. And the reason for that is I can prevent anybody else in the US, at least, let's start at that, from copying that idea, from using anything similar to the ARM business or the ARM legal strategies, right? So any other attorneys or somebody else wants to come up and create something called the ARM business or legal, in the educational, consulting, or live strategy type of field, in multiple fields. So if it's in software, it can be in legal services, business services, coaching services, based on the different categories. So that's how trademarks are categorized, right? You got to acquire different a trademark in different categories for using them. But once I do that for, let's say, even $1,000, all these things put together, 4 or 5 categories, I can prevent anyone in the US from using anything similar to that. And that's a very powerful tool that I can use, that I can leverage for a long time, right? So think about it that way. What about your website domain URL? We talked about that earlier. It's absolutely something you can trademark, right? If it's of high value and if it's something that you think could be trademarked. So whether something could be trademarked or not is a different topic. I'm not going to go into that today. But yes, there are websites that are trademarked, right? And it's a very powerful tool again. I skipped one here. I said business plan, but I didn't go over it. So a business plan is unique because you can have business plan in 3 different intellectual property categories. So a very unique business plan, for example, that you have given a name that has heavy commercialized value, and let's say you made a lot of money using it in the past, right? You're a franchise and you developed a very unique business plan that has massive commercial value in the marketplace, then yes, it's something you can trademark it. Also, the content, all the things inside the business plan are copyrightable material. If the original ideas that you've expressed in them, published in there, absolutely, those are copyrighted material. What about trade secrets? We didn't talk about that yet. But yes, that is a trade secret. If you want to, let's say, license your business, or you're franchising, in the process of franchising, or you're a software company and you're looking to find resellers or agencies who can distribute your software, your SaaS platform, then all of a sudden your business plan might be a trade secret that you can charge a premium price for, right? A commercial price. You can attach a commercial value and then charge a price for it, and perhaps even distinguish that as in different tiers. So a business that you franchise with a business plan or without a business plan, for example, at 2 different costs, right? So all of a sudden, just creating or turning or transforming your business plan into an intellectual property has created an additional source of revenue for you, right? So I hope this is all making sense so far in terms of how to use intellectual property as not just a tool, but an entire strategy by itself, an entire component, an entire force by itself to catapult your income, to skyrocket your monthly revenue, and to drastically increase, right? Exponentially increase the net worth of your business, the net value of your business. That's where intellectual property kicks in. So the things I'm talking about are of extreme importance if you're looking to distinguish yourself in the marketplace, if you're looking to brand yourself differently, if you want to be remembered, and if you're trying to maintain dominance in a specific industry, control competitive behavior. These are strategies that this is it right here. This is the slide or the topic that's going to change the course of your business. A website domain URL, again, that's a trademarkable asset. What about the website content? As I mentioned before, it's copyrightable, right? It's original content that you created and published in a permanent form. What about the website workflow? Well, it is a trade secret. If it's something that you can capture in contracts, you can enforce against clients, employees from not copying something that they have discovered by working with you or dealing with you, and you captured it in contracts, that is a trade secret that has some commercial value attached to it. Also, I'm talking about hashtags. As I said, there are a few registered hashtags. You can go to the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, to look up what hashtags have already been trademarked. So this will give you a good idea of whether or not it's something you can trademark in your business, right? As a specific hashtag that you've developed or used. Also, your marketing plan, as I mentioned before. Marketing and business plans are unique in that aspect that they can fit into being a trademark if it's given a name, if it's heavily commercialized, if it can be monetized in multiple ways, that you can license it. It, in fact, it could be a trademark, right? You could get a trademark on it. Also, it's copyrightable. Original content contained in it, published in it, is copyrightable. It is, in fact, a trade secret. Just like the franchise example, if you have a franchise, and you decide to have 3 tiers of franchises, 3 levels, one a base structure, one with a business plan, one with the business plan and a marketing plan, right? There's 3 different avenues that 3 streams of revenue that I've just helped you create in your business, right? So give your marketing plan a name. That's the point of all this. Make it an intellectual property. Don't just leave it as a marketing plan. Give it a name. That's all you have to do. Do a little bit of research, whether it's original. See if it can copyright it. See if you can trademark it. Capture it in different contracts as you're expanding your business. And all of a sudden you have a valuable, highly valuable piece of intellectual property. Let's talk also about marketing assets. Things you're creating, your Facebook ads, the videos, the radio show if you're hosting one, the podcasts, publications. All these things are copyrightable, right? Because they're original content, or hopefully original content. So those are copyrightable. That's an intellectual property. Again, it could be a trade secret as well, right? The franchise example. Let's say you have it as part of your marketing plan, again, 2 tiers within that. One with the marketing creatives given to you. One, it's a responsibility of the owner or your client to come up with that, right? So all of a sudden you're separating a small thing as that and creating different revenue streams by just understanding that it could be 2 pieces of intellectual property. So that's the whole point of empowerment. The reason I'm sharing this free information with you, these are things that took me, over 12 years to learn and test and develop, and millions of dollars to learn, and hundreds of thousands of hours of training to understand these concepts in my own business when I went through law school, to read about them, to read about court cases. And the reason I'm sharing this information with you is to empower you. So everything I'm talking about, I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're thinking about it. I hope you have a note next to each one of these things as we're walking through them to say, I'm going to research about this. I'm going to find out what the commercial value of something like this is in my business. Because quite frankly, just at the end of this 60-minute workshop, I may have increased the value of your business easily by $100,000, right? Just by helping you identify what you have in your business and helping you identify if any of those assets may be an intellectual property. The other reason I am focusing so much on intellectual property today is because there are commercial values attached to intellectual property. There's different resources which I'll post at the end of this video and this radio show for you, absolutely free, free of cost to use for you, the consumer, the business owner, the entrepreneur. So you can get an idea of what your intellectual property is worth, right? There's World Intellectual Property Organization that has commercial values and a schedule attached. You can go through it and identify each piece of property, what it is and how much these things are worth. And, perhaps even license them. That's creating a revenue stream, right? Or 2, 3 revenue streams out of it. All right, so coming back to the list that we went through again. Let's talk about the publications, right? Publications and manuals that you create in the course of your business. Again, are these intellectual properties? What are they? Well, they are copyrights. They're also trade secrets, right? Publications can even be trademarks. Like I said, if you gave them a specific name, and if you have massive commercial value and identification of those items, of those pieces of intellectual property, then yeah, it is an intellectual property worth a lot of money again. What about the marketing pages? Things that you're creating, right? You may have created, and as entrepreneurs, we test and create every single day. We're always building, we're always testing new ideas, and so in the course of these testing, especially nowadays, you end up creating a lot of landing pages, a lot of marketing pages, different opt-in tables and videos and content that never gets used, right? But when you created them, they had a commercial value, and that's why you created them, and the intent to derive some commercial value out of those things, to generate revenue, hopefully, right? Even if it's direct or indirect. And so marketing pages, marketing funnels, landing pages, all these things are in fact intellectual properties. It could be copyrighted. You give them a unique name all of a sudden, tied up with the website workflow, and now you're looking at a specialized, what they call the funnel. And if you go to platforms like ClickFunnels, there are people who sell their marketing landing pages as templates. 3 or 4 steps involved. All you got to do is go customize it. So that's another way to leverage and monetize your marketing pages to create new revenue as an additional revenue source. As simple as that. Social following. Okay, so think about that. Social following, a database, social pages and profiles. Now, here's a question for you. Do you think that those assets are owned by you, or are they owned by the different platforms that you're publishing on? So if you're posting content on Facebook every day, do you think that you own that piece of content, or does Facebook own it? Right? Think about this for a second. It's a gray area. It's tough to say who owns it. If you go read the contracts that you signed with Facebook, well, technically all the stuff that is created on that platform belongs to them. So all the videos, the entire Facebook profiles, and everything else you developed is Is it owned by Facebook? Well, maybe, right? If you're monetizing it, if you have a database of 30,000 people and you're, let's say, an influencer and you're out in the marketplace and you're charging a commercial value for that, you're charging your clients based on the amount of followers that you have, the eyeballs and the listeners that are tuned into your message. Well, you may not own that piece of asset, but you can certainly monetize it, right? So again, just identifying that, okay, it may not be something that you own, but understanding your intellectual property rights enables you to more effectively market and monetize it regardless. Let's talk also about your social database. Same thing here, right? It's a trade secret, perhaps. It could even be a copyright, maybe, if it's original content. But again, it's a tricky topic. Is it owned by you? Is it owned by Facebook? Is it owned by the social media platform? It's a gray area. There's arguments on both sides. There's cases arguing both sides of the law and of that coin. And at the end of the day, for practical purposes as an entrepreneur, can you monetize it? Absolutely. And that's what you should focus on. Again, content on the pages that you're creating, on the social profiles, on Facebook groups, on LinkedIn groups, on WhatsApp, right? On your radio show, on your TV show. Are these original? Yes. Are they permanent? Yes. Is it copyrightable? Absolutely. Is it a trade secret? Perhaps. Right? If you can capture those in contracts and agreements, then it might be. Let's talk about your customer list. Right? You're thinking, okay, I have this email database of a lot of people, and I gave you earlier some examples on how you can leverage your email list to make them intellectual property. So that is an example of whether or not that's a piece of intellectual property. Yeah. So what is it? Is it a trademark? Unlikely. Is it a copyright? Again, it could be a copyright because it might be original content created by you. If you have a specific format or a directory that you develop out of this insight, let's say the list, identities, insights, and email list that you have. You make it, you take out the privacy, right? So you're not invading somebody's privacy, and you develop a list out of it. And you have very specialized services that now are purely list selling services, right? Or matchmaking services. Then all of a sudden what you've done is create a new revenue stream just by using a list, and not even having to disclose or doing anything unethical, right? So is it a trade secret? Yes, it could be, right? In the franchise model, again, it's absolutely a trade secret. So customer lists, customer identities, customer insights, the knowledge and the insights that you've developed and now what you possess. And customer email lists. These are trade secrets that you want to keep, right? That you want to develop. Sorry about the pause. Just fighting off a last minute cold here. So these are very valuable assets that you need to think about, that you need to identify, and that you need to give them value. So it has a commercial value and it has some meaning in the marketplace, right? That you can leverage. So that's it for intellectual property. If there's any specific questions you have on the things I talked about today, feel free to go ahead and, like I said, message me. You can find any information that you want or get a hold of me in my Facebook group, Entrepreneur Empowered. It's a Facebook group. There's also a page. Make sure to like it. We'll upload all this stuff onto that. We'll put the template on there as well so you can download and research it. You can also go into our website. We have multiple websites where we're giving this information. CaliforniaLawServices.com is my law firm, my educational site, right? So as I talked about, monetizing intellectual property in different ways. So the education and training that I received as an attorney, I am now leveraging that in multiple ways. So instead of just having a law firm, I'm going to try to have a law firm, and I created an educational site. So South Bay Business Hub is my educational site. If you go on there, again, it's entrepreneuремpowered.org, leads you back to that place. So if you go there, entrepreneuремpowered.org or southbaybusinesshub.com, you'll be at the same place, which is my educational empowerment site, right? As we're building this community of entrepreneurs empowered, we are gathering the different assets that we put together, and including all the things that I just described to you, the insights that we've received, the emails that we've gathered, and that we use for targeting others who would join our programs, the identities of customers who I know who have agreed, who I could approach, and who have agreed to participate in Entrepreneur Empowered to help others, the social following and databases that I've created, right? The marketing pages that I've created from a law firm. These are all the assets that I have now transferred into an educational theme, and all of a sudden, hey, we have a new source of revenue. So does this make sense where intellectual property comes in, or the understanding of intellectual property and how you can monetize your business using and understanding these strategies? Okay, so let's jump into the next core section of this presentation. This is perhaps one of the most important sections, and I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because even though I can spend a lot of time in this section, today's theme was to give you an overall 30,000 foot perspective. And the deeper we dig into this specific section, the more complicated it gets. And I don't want to get caught up in that as I did in the intellectual property section, that I love talking about, that I love helping people understand so they grow their businesses. The other side of that equation comes down to the risks, right? As you get more popular, as you're picking up momentum, as you gain more publicity and popularity, people are looking at you, your competitors, your clients, your vendors, marketers, even the co-founders and partners, right, are looking at you. It happens a lot where there's two businesses and all of a sudden there's only one that gets more popularized in the public eye. Happens to all the big companies that we all know about, including Facebook, including Apple, Microsoft, and whoever else. There's multiple co-founders who started these things, but we associate their products with one person in our minds. And so, how do you predict those risks? How do you avoid those lawsuits? Hopefully this section will help you clear some of those things up. So once again, hopefully by now you have a chance to make some notes. You're walking through this, making some notes, and thinking about these different strategies and different components in your business. Let's talk about the risk prediction in this section. So number one, ask yourself, is the business model that you're involved in, does it have an inherent risk by itself? So for example, if you're in a regulated profession and there's ethical considerations or other regulatory considerations, then yes, the business model that you've chosen to operate with inherently has a risk associated with it, right? So think about how to predict and mitigate the risks associated with that ahead of time. That's what this section is about. Being proactive, being able to act ahead of time. Let's talk about client and customers, the people you deal with. Are they in some way, shape, or form going to cause a conflict? Are they a potential threat? Can they be a threat in some way, right? Can they pose a risk to some of your assets or things you're building towards? Chances are they can. This happens in every business, no matter what business you're in. There's always a risk from customers and clients, right? And even if they're happy, there's still a chance that something could go wrong. And so, what are some of these risks, right? Think about them, right? And predict them ahead of time. What about competitors and copycats? Of course, there's risks of them copying you. They're always looking for the next thing to rip off. That's what competitors and copycats do. But how do you protect yourself from that? How do you shield your business and your assets and your intellectual property so that competitors and copycats are not able to encroach and infringe upon your intellectual property, and encroach on your geographic area of dominance, and infringe upon your intellectual property and use it, right? What about the government and regulatory issues related to and the risks and conflicts associated with those things? Think about those. Again, like I said, it's if you're dealing with a very specific business model or an industry that is highly regulated, then yes, there are some risks associated with that. If you own, if you're leasing a property, or if you own a piece of property, then landlord and tenant issues, right? Think about those in your business. What about banking and compliance, right? Making sure that you're not piercing the corporate veil, as they say. What about taxation with the IRS? Are you in compliance with everything? Advertising and disclaimers. Are you advertising ethically? Do you have all the disclaimers in place? Are you misleading customers? Are you advertising in a false manner? Are you putting things out there that are not real? These are things that you want to think about and you want to protect yourself against, right? And also predict what risks can come out of this, and how do you mitigate those things? What about from employees, right? Employee contracts that you enter into, and contractor contracts. What about partnership agreements among partners, among co-founders, among board of directors, a board of advisors, and investors? How do you split partnership agreements? How do you split equity? How do you assign shares? Who controls what? What's the scope of each person's duties? These are all complex things that you need to think about as a business owner. What about protecting your secrets from all sides? I'm talking about from everybody I just talked to you about. From your clients, your customers, your competitors, copycats, from the government, from landlord, from tenants, from banking, from the tax man, right? It's complex stuff. So think about these things in your business. So let's talk about the other side of it, right? What are some of the ways that you can mitigate the risks that we just went through? What do you do to reduce the chances of potential financial and other losses? Well, you can think about protecting company goodwill. That's an intangible asset. That's an intellectual property, right? The goodwill that you create in the marketplace. It's something that you have some commercial value for. People, right? If you're selling your company, your goodwill goes a long way. And that's something that you can get a lot of money for. So think about those things in your business and don't take those lightly, because mitigating against that is key. Also, online compliance. How do you comply with the different rules and regulations on the internet, off the internet, in your business? Right? That's how you mitigate risk. You become compliant. You have the anti-spam regulations. You go ahead and research about internet laws and the website rules and have that in there. You have contracts with each and every party that you decide to transact with. Whether it's a co-founder, a strategist, somebody helping you as a favor, put it into writing. Make a contract out of it. What about NDAs and non-compete clauses? Right? Put those things in there. Intellectual property enforcement. Put that in there. Right? Enforce your intellectual property. As you develop it, enforce it. So there's three components of intellectual property. You create it, you protect it, and then you enforce it. Right? Monetization is a whole different aspect to it. But these are the three that you want to understand. And understanding how to enforce them so that nobody else is infringing upon them. Asset protection. You incorporate clauses, terms, disclosures so that you're protecting your assets from all sides. Domain hosting violations. That's a tool that if you find somebody infringing your intellectual property that you could use, you can send a note to the domain hoster of that company, that website, and get them to shut it down, right? It's possible. But knowing what to do is the first step. And that's sort of why we're going through this. Somebody infringes your intellectual property. What do? Well, first thing, go shut them down so that more people there's no more people viewing that infringement so that they're not diluting your property, your intellectual property, your brand as time goes on, right? So things you want to do right away. It's about being proactive, like I said. It's about knowing. It's about being aware, being conscious of what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and how quickly to do it. And that's what this is. Intellectual property, protecting personal property. If you're a business owner, hopefully you have taken the time to protect your personal assets, right? I'm talking about your house, I'm talking about your stocks, your investments, your income, joint debts that you've co-signed. Have you protected all your personal property from your business? Are they shielded? Okay, so that's what risk prediction and mitigation is about. The last little chunk here is about asset and intellectual property monetization. So this is the last slide we're going to talk about today in our time together. So far, we talked about how to identify different assets in your business. We talked about your business name, your product and course names, business plans, website URL, website content, the workflow, hashtags, marketing plans, marketing assets, publications, manuals, marketing pages, social following, social database, social pages and profiles, content on these pages, customer list, customer identity, customer insights, and even customer email list. And I help you identify which one of those are actually intellectual property, right? And each one of those are intellectual properties. And then we just walked over risk prediction on the left side, which you see here, right? The first one, which is the business model itself, client and customers, competitors and copycats, regulatory and government related, tax, landlord issues, banking compliance, the tax man, advertising risks and disclaimers, employee contracts, partnership agreements, and protecting secrets from all sides. And the second chunk of risk prediction is risk mitigation. And risk mitigation, so the first chunk, right? Risk prediction applies to who can cause a risk. And those are all the parties. And risk mitigation relates to what can you do to protect yourself and minimize losses that can be caused by these parties. And I said you can protect yourself by protecting your goodwill, so in contracts, online compliance, there's anti-spam regulations, internet rules and websites, internet laws and websites, be compliant. You can have contracts with all the parties you deal with. You can create NDAs and non-compete clauses so that you're protecting the conversations you have and people you work with. Intellectual property enforcement in different ways. Then there's intellectual property infringement, where you're infringing somebody's trademark or copyrights. What about asset protection? We talked about that. How do you protect personal assets, as well as how do you equip yourself with the right domain hosting violation tools and letters that you can send yourself, right? So the last chunk here now relates to the monetization of your intellectual property. As I walk you through the different assets and the intellectual property earlier on and help you identify what you have in your business, now let's focus our attention on how you can monetize them. What are the different ways that you can monetize the information that you possess? These are things that you're in your mind, right? So I have listed here a list of, let's see, almost 20 different ways that you can monetize the skills, the education, the training that you possess right now, right? But identifying how to do this, and as I just earlier on walk you through the process of the IP, how do you create IP and how do you protect it, this may make more sense now, right? And how do you monetize it? So we have the first thing is digital courses and programs. Those are perhaps the easiest things to create. This workshop, what you're watching, is a 1 hour workshop, right? Just over an hour, and I created a digital course. It's a digital training session out of it, and now you are getting the information that's going to change the course of your business, right? So creating a digital course or program is nowadays has become a lot easier, and this is a quick, low hanging fruit, as I call it, to spread your information quickly and monetize your skills right away, right? Second thing to do is live events and seminars. You want to be able to leverage the in-person meetings, and that's something that you can dive into. The third thing is publication of books and ebooks, right? You can create ebooks, you can publicize them, you can sell them on eBay, on Amazon, and a whole range of places. Creation of training programs. Again, if you have a specialized skill in something, why not train other people in it? What about a SaaS model, right? So here I'm talking about creating a technology and incorporating a month by month or some other duration, but as a subscription service, right? Monthly or whatever, every 2 months. It's a subscription based service. That way you're guaranteed revenue, and it's a nice way to generate revenue for you. Also, we have a monthly subscription service. We have the creation of new applications, software, and technologies. That's a way to monetize your skills. I had a client last year who I work with, husband and wife who were in their 80s, okay, motivational speakers and coaches, 80 plus years old, decided that, and very successful, they've been doing this for 45 plus years, helped millions of people. But as entrepreneurs themselves, they wanted to push their own limits, and that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. So in this quest for pushing their own limits, they decided they wanted to create a mobile application. And so we went around looking for the developers and helped them create an entire mobile application, digitizing their knowledge that can be there forever. So that's how you create applications and software, right? Transferring the knowledge you have into online programs and courses. Excuse me, and creating software out of it. Also, outsourcing the delivery process, right? That's a way to monetize it more effectively. That way you can be focused on other tasks. Also, thinking about investors, raising capital, right? That's a way to monetize your skills more effectively as you get a backing behind you. The other things that you can do are like one-time setup and discount, which is giving a one-time setup fee for something, right? So maybe you can add that into your offerings. You can even license your specific products and services. If I just gave you so many examples earlier about assets and intellectual property, and again, in the franchise example, you can think about how licensing off each and every product can be a different tiered pricing, right? How it can help you price discriminate in multiple ways and skin the same cat in multiple ways by leveraging these different IPs. Also, franchising opportunities. I mean, it's massive. If you're able to franchise a business off and monetize your knowledge, what you have created, and other ways, get other people to manage it for you. There's nothing better to do than that, right? Obviously, franchises are complex. They come with their own laws and regulations, but the ability to franchise a business purely from a business standpoint and a scaling and expansion standpoint is a unique tool. Also, the development of additional intellectual property. So here we're talking about things that you can create in a joint atmosphere, right? What about licensing your intellectual property to competitors? As I mentioned earlier, let's say you have a customer list and you developed great insights. You've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars developing insights about this customer target list in this specific market, let's say. Now, your competitors, in fact, may be even your clients. There are many situations that happens. And so even your competitors can in fact become your clients where they feel there's a specific value. And so think about licensing and intellectual properties, but don't forget to add in competitors. In fact, they're the ones who may pay more than your clients for the information that you have. Enforcement of intellectual property from an international perspective, okay? It's a tricky game, but don't forget to think about that. Also selling en masse, right? In groups. Lastly, we have the last two, which are joint venture dealings. So make sure you think about that in your business. And lastly, a strategic alliance setup. So with that, we have just gone over three core strategies, components, forces that impact your bottom line every single day. The ARM business legal strategies, right? So that's what arming your business is about. That's what you, the business owner, has to understand, has to learn, and has to develop the ability to answer so you can make decisions with precision. As a final note before I leave the show for today, I encourage you to go ahead and join the Facebook group. And if you're watching us, you can see the picture that I've just pulled up with the cartoon figure with all the different questions that are popping out of his brain. Okay? This is a picture that I had developed because I felt it really answered a lot of the questions that entrepreneurs have, specifically, excuse me, specifically about intellectual property and legal strategies. And so I want to leave this picture with you, right? Go ahead and join the Facebook community online on the free group, or go to our page, Entrepreneur Empowered. Like it. You'll start getting all these slideshows and slides and information that I've posted in these videos and important tips. But at the end of the day, it's about empowering you. And hopefully in today's quick show, you're going to be able to leave at least learning a few new things that you haven't thought about in your business, right? And that hopefully that have inspired you in some small way to go ahead and make that change and incorporate that. So with that, if you have any questions, you want to get in touch with us, you want to join the community, or you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and reach out directly to us. You can find my law firm website on Facebook, California Law Services. You'll see a lot of material and workshops that we're posting there. It has a lot of free courses and guides that I've published as well that have been used extensively by customers and clients. You'll see all that information, as well as make sure you go ahead and register with our Facebook group, where we're going to have, we're going to work as a tribe, as a community of empowered entrepreneurs, all helping each other and elevating each other's businesses. At the end of the day, this community that we're building, Entrepreneur Empowered, is about access. And I'm talking about access to the right tools, the right technologies, the right connections, the right strategies, the right things that impact your business every single day so that you can make business decisions with 100% confidence and with 100% precision, right? That's what Entrepreneur Empowered is about. As always, I'm your host, Attorney Sid Peddinti, aka the Entrepreneur's Attorney. I thank you for joining me for this show today. Hopefully, you have learned or thought about or considered now things that we have talked about that you have previously not considered before in your business, especially about intellectual property and about monetizing and protecting your business and intellectual property from all sides. If you have any questions, feel free to add me on LinkedIn or on Facebook or even on the WhatsApp group. All right? We're always here to help you out. Just you can see my name or spell my name out on this post. It's written here at the bottom of this: SIDPEDDINTI. The website, South Bay Business Hub. My phone number, if you need to get in touch with me directly, if you have a more pressing question, 213 924 3466. I'm here for you. We're going to do this together. We're in this together. We're going to fight our way out of it. We're going to monetize our skills this year. 2018 is our year. So arm yourself, arm your business. I hope to see you on the other side and continue this conversation where we left off so we can actually put all the things we talked about into action and work on it. Okay? We're going to emerge as winners every single time. We're with you here, and I'll see you on the other side. That's it for today's show. Thanks again. And this is Attorney Sid Peddinti checking out Entrepreneur Empowered. Bye-bye.